Hello YouTube, it is your boy B3, back with another kicking movie reaction review. Today we are doing one of my favorite horror films, and also probably my favorite psychological horror film, The Black Cat from 1934. It's an American pre-code horror film. They did have some censor trouble, though, but they actually sneakily crept a lot of stuff past the censors in this movie. It's directed by Edgar G. Ulmer and starring Boris Karloff and my favorite actor of all time, Bela Lugosi. I believe this was their first on-screen role together, out of a few. It was the first of 8 films, 6 that were produced by Universal, to feature both actors in the film. It was Universal Pictures' biggest box office hit of the year. And it was among lots of earlier movies that had like a continuous musical score. Like, it's a score that you hear in multiple movies, very recognizable score. And just fun trivia, Lugosi also appeared in the 1941 film of the same name. Once again directed by Edgar G. Ulmer, produced by Carl Laemmle Jr., who produced a lot of these early horror films, and E.M. Asher. Screenplay by Peter Ruick, story by Edgar G. Ulmer and Peter Ruick. It's based on The Black Cat by Edgar Allan Poe. Once again, top billing to Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi. Music by Heinz Erich Romheld. Cinematography by John J. Mescal. Edited by Ray Curtis. Production company Universal Pictures, also distributed by them. Released in May of 1934. It's a little over an hour, so it's kind of short, actually. It's from the United States, in English, and made quite the profit. So, this film, as I said, helped... well, I didn't actually say this, I don't think. Actually helped create and even popularize the psychological horror subgenre of horror, which is more about like atmosphere, sounds, the human psyche, dark emotions, etc., 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 etc. This film kicks ass. It's so good. It's Lugosi's so good in it. I mean, Karloff is too, but the rest of the actors like have no room to shine with these two giants of horror on the screen at the same damn time. In this movie, it's just so good and dramatic and creepy, you know? Like, there's this couple, this married couple at the beginning of the film, and they're on a train, and there's kind of a mix-up, and they accidentally sell they double book, kind of their, little car that they're in. So, Bela Lugosi ends up sitting with them for the ride, and then they get, like, a bus together, because they're both going the same direction but to different places. And then the bus crashes, the driver dies, and throughout the film, like, all the characters seem to not even really care that the driver died, which is funny. The wife is injured, and the husband, Bela Lugosi, and Lugosi's servant, who might be in Yellowface, I'm honestly not sure. It's hard to tell, because he doesn't speak, and, like, his eyebrows seem to be groomed like kind of a stereotypical Asian guy's eyebrows for the time. But there's nothing about him, like, dress-wise or anything that says he's supposed to be Asian? I don't know. I'm just gonna say it's not Yellowface. Hopefully it's not intended to be Yellowface, because that would be bad, but yeah, that would really suck. So they end up at Boris Karloff's place, which is where Lugosi was going to go anyways. He's been calling him his quote-unquote old friends, but they're actually enemies. Boris Karloff's character turned Lugosi's character over to the enemy in the war and had him imprisoned for like 15 years as a prisoner of war. And then he married Lugosi's wife and adopted his daughter. But then he killed Lugosi's wife because he didn't want her to lose her beauty, and he like embalmed her and preserved her. And he's got like multiple women preserved like that. And then he married Lugosi's daughter, who was also his stepchild, so very Woody Allen of him. Very creepy. And he's like keeping the daughter in the dark. He's like, don't leave the bedroom today, because she doesn't want her to know that her father is alive, because he told her that he died in prison. And he doesn't want Lugosi to know that his daughter's alive, because he told him his daughter died as well. Very crazy stuff. So, like, Lugosi and Karloff are playing this, like, chess game with each other the whole time. And Boris Karloff is the bad guy in this film, and Bela Lugosi is the good guy, and they're kind of in this match of wits to see who will come out on top. But the couple, Boris Karloff wants to use them in a satanic ceremony. He's a devil worshiper, and he's like the head of this cult. And he wants to use her like in this ceremony. But it kind of goes awry because Bela Lugosi kind of stops it and all this stuff. And then we get to kind of the end of the film. And this is a huge, huge, huge spoiler. Alright? So, if you plan on watching the film and you don't know what happens already, just, I'd say stop it here, because this next part is crazy. So, Lugosi finds out his daughter is alive, but then, apparently once his daughter figured out that her father was alive, Karloff killed her. So she's dead. And when Lugosi finds out, he really snaps. And the twist of this film is that Lugosi is kind of also a bad guy. Like, because, sure, you see Karloff's character doing all this just screwed up stuff. I can't say the F word anymore because YouTube keeps blocking my videos. But he's doing all this screwed up stuff. And then at the end of the film, Lugosi like hangs him up on an embalming rack and is like, I'm gonna skin you alive. Yeah, this is happening. And he starts to skin Boris Karloff alive. Insane. But then he tries to help our female lead, and her husband kind of escapes his little prison and gets a gun and stuff, and he sees him trying to help her, but he thinks that he's trying to hurt her because he believes that Lugosi's like in on all this stuff. But he's not. He's been playing this like clever chess game to try to stop Karloff the whole time, because he was unable to kill him with a gun when he wanted to. So then he shoots Bela Lugosi's character, and Bela Lugosi's like, you poor fool, because he was trying to help her. And then Lugosi's like dying, and he's like, Karloff, this is the dynamite switch, right? This ignites the dynamite? So apparently, Boris Karloff, like his character is like this big, like well-renowned architect, and then Bela Lugosi's character is like a psychiatrist. And for some reason, the guy put a self-destruct mechanism in his own home. I don't know why. It's kind of like, it's a lot like the lever. I mean, it's exactly like the lever in Bride of Frankenstein. Like, why is there just a lever out in the open that can destroy the whole tower? Why does that exist? Well, why does this guy have an intricate self-destruct system in his home? And Lugosi's like, welp, I'm too injured to keep torturing you, so I'm going to blow myself up, I'm going to blow you up, and I'm going to blow every Satanist in this house up. And we're all going together. And the couple does escape to tell their story. And then, so the husband is actually a mystery writer. So he writes a book about the experience, and then it gets a bad review because nobody thought it was believable, even though it was something that actually happened to him. Pretty fun. Pretty, kind of a fun ending. Kind of took the punch away a little bit. There's also this, like, believe it or not, I do have bad things to say about the film. There's also this scene where the police come into Boris Karloff's home, and they're asking about the crash, and the cops, it's like a comedic scene, and I thought that really, like, there's nothing wrong with comedic relief, but it felt like it was in the wrong place and at the wrong time. It felt like it really halted the progression of the film. I don't know. I didn't like it. Whatever. As I said, there was a lot of stuff in this film that the censors were like, how dare you? But then they slipped a lot of stuff past the censors as well. They really tricked them. But it does have the thing in this film where like the husband and wife sleep in like different rooms because it's an old movie and they don't want to acknowledge that sex exists, you know? And at first, the wife is sleeping in her own room because she's injured, and it makes sense. But then later, when they like go to bed again, she's still in bed alone, and it's like, why? Like, the adults that this movie was for, no sex exists. And they're a married couple. I don't know. That's pretty good. And this film actually is a weird kind of... it's kind of a weird reflection of Lugosi and Karloff's real-life rivalry, because they were the two big horror stars at Universal. So whenever a horror film would come up, it would be like, who's going to be the lead, Lugosi or Karloff? And Karloff in his life was noted as having great respect for Bela Lugosi. Thought he was one of the greats, like, just fantastic, because he was. But Bela Lugosi kind of held some contempt for Karloff, because Karloff was made famous on a role that Bela Lugosi allegedly turned down, and Karloff took a lot of Lugosi's work. Lugosi ended up doing, like, just a lot of garbage films in his later career, and he died in poverty, which is sad, because now he's known as one of the greatest horror stars of all time. And the poor man died in poverty, while Boris Karloff went on to be an extreme success for basically his entire career. I think Universal and Hollywood treated Lugosi like shit, but I'm glad he now gets kind of the recognition he deserves, at least. But yeah, this film is incredible. If you like psychological horror, this is like a history lesson for you. This is one of the OG psychological horror films. It's one of my favorite horror films of all time. I actually got it on a 4-movie set, and I was only looking for this film. I was on Amazon. I was like, I need a copy of The Black Cat. I can't believe I don't have a copy of that. I love that movie. And then I found a copy of it that also had The Raven, which is another great film starring both of them. And then it had 2 other films starring them both that I have never seen, like The Invisible Ray and then another one. So I've seen The Raven, but I haven't seen the others. So my next review will probably be The Raven. I think I might just go straight through the set and review all of them. But I've seen The Raven before, but I'm definitely going to watch it again before reviewing it. Always watch before you review, you know. So that is it. Thank you all very much for the support. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And I'll see you all next time.